to let us know whether or not we are alive. That would be fantastic if you could. And the Jim Christie is here, everyone. The Jim Christie. And Jay Coop, welcome to the show. Pyramid 7, Project Blue Book, good to have you here. Mr. Apnea, signing autographs after the show. Line up on the left outside the studio. Only bring a silver Sharpie with you if you want his autograph. That's all he'll sign in. And Ibarata in Singapore, good to have you here. And Gary the Dutchman, always a pleasure to have Gary the Dutchman here. And he's the owner of Mighty Moose Beard Oil. We'll get into a little bit of that later. And we're about 20 seconds away, 25 seconds away. And Bombshell Bomber, you are looking lovely tonight. Nathan Allen, good to see you. We got R Keith Andrews here, everyone. The R Keith Andrews. Thank you to everyone who's given us a thumbs up. The super chat is open. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. Mr. Cowley, welcome back to the show. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Near the beginning of each month, we bring in the Woo. And oh, do we do a good job with it, as our good friend at ET Contactee R Keith Andrews is back to discuss the purposes of aliens coming to Earth with the ET connection. Now, Keith has been a lifelong ET contactee. He's also highly intuitive. He's got a couple of books out on the different species of extraterrestrials that he has come in contact with, and now he spends his time checking and helping people out who have their own contact experiences and just cannot figure out what is going on. My main man, R. Keith Andrews, always a pleasure to have you here, brother. How are you?
Doing not bad at all. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you back. Now, Keith, you know, for a lot of us, it hasn't been a lot of excitement in the UFO ET world, except things seem to be hopping on up here recently.
Well, that would be putting it mildly. The way that the mankind is handling this whole mess on the planet, like the entire cross-country and cross-corridor of it, has got a lot of the Xenosociological Society of the Galactic Consortium very intrigued in how mankind's going to handle the situation.
Okay. So, Keith, in regards to getting to know you, because we always have new listeners, and you are a monthly feature here on this show, explain what it's like to grow up with, you're 51, 52 years old now, but explain
I appreciate that like you would not believe.
But explain how it is to grow up with a life of ET contact.
Well, to start with, the biggest thing is you do not look at the world the same as anybody else. Because where many people on this planet look at people of a different color and they go, oh, that's a different race, and, I've got to be edgy about them. Color is great. I grew up colorblind. It worked out well. So I dealt with people that had, that looked like reptiles, or they looked like octopus, as in they literally look like octopi that are walking around. There's even a number of planets that we got to know. So, of course, the whole idea, people would ask why we don't pay attention to the news and society. Well, the reason being, we get our information from the other races that are here. And much as humans are the caretakers of this planet, and they are, according to the consortium, they are designated as such. Okay, they are not the only sentient race on this planet.
Go figure. Go figure.
I mean, it's, as the argument goes, if mankind was as sentient as they claim to be, they wouldn't be poisoning their own planet.
Well, nobody said we were smart.
No, this is from them.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's staggering the number of people I've talked to that actually go, oh, I'm one of the brightest. And I'm looking at them going, then why are you doing what you're doing?
I have no idea, dude. I have no idea. But, Keith, for people who are having contact for what they believe is the first time in their life, they may not know where to turn. How do you counsel people on them getting to know that they are now part of the statistics, shall we say, an ET contactee or abductee?
Well, the first thing that I usually remind them of is there is an old saying out that says truth is stranger than fiction. Okay, and it really boils down to this. Many times when people have a dream or they think they've lost track of time or something to that effect, more often than not, it's not so much their imagination as they don't know how to cope with it. So their brain wraps it into a nice little package. But it's very important to drop in on places like Spaced Out Radio, where you can talk to people, where you can interact with people that have gone through it, so that newcomers to this venue, if you will, get a sense they're not the only ones out there. Now, I will tell you, knowing you're not the only one out there does not necessarily make it easier for you.
No, very true. And I understand that. But, for a lot of people, this subject is very difficult to talk about. Why is it important for ET contactees or abductees to come out and talk about those experiences?
In my opinion, because of the fact that it is so difficult to work with life and its own stresses to start with, having somebody to talk to that won't look you in the eye and go, you're completely off your nut, and at least hear you out to give possible perception on it, right, can make the difference between going into extreme depression because you've got no clue how to handle it, and just being a little stressed because you're a little lost on how to deal with it. But it's, like, you've had some guests on here that have had some incredible experiences that have let people see that, yeah, they may themselves be going through a messed up time, but these other people are now talking about it. They're secure in themselves. So maybe, just maybe, myself as a new abductee will be able to land on my feet.
Does anything really intimidate you anymore from all of this contact that you've had over the years?
Oh, yeah. Dentists and doctors.
But from them?
No. No, in all fairness, we have, I'm a pacifist. I mean, you know as well as I do, I will not fight. Up there, it's a different world. But no, I've had people, I've had the off-worlders do some pretty stupid things. I literally told one group that I told them, the Strazazians, actually, I told them flat out, now this is a military, very respect-oriented crew. I walked into their council chamber and told them if they didn't have the guts to go out and help their own people, then I'd do it on my own. And they could deal with it later. This is not the thing you're supposed to politely tell somebody.
All right, we got questions right off the bat for you. Let's go to Sovereign Gassy Man right off the bat. And he is asking, Keith, why are you so defensive of reptilian hybrids? You won't disclose chemtrail ingredients, and you won't acknowledge that there are numerous underground bases in Canada.
Oh, I never denied there were numerous underground bases in Canada. There are many. Okay, all over Canada and the northern, in the North Country. I mean, heck, they're all over the world. As far as being defensive of reptilians, it's not being defensive of them so much as clarifying. Because when people talk about reptilians doing this, we have to understand that I'm aware of there are at least 15 different reptilian races, all with their own outlooks. I mean, calling them all, just referring to them all as reptilian, would be the same, in my opinion, as referring to humans as simians. Meaning they're just like gorillas, chimpanzees, capuchin monkeys, howler monkeys. They're all the same.
All right, let's move on to Greco's question on Twitter. Has there ever been an interdimensional war between who, why, and who won?
No. Therefore, none of the following questions apply. Were the third dimension to go to war against the fourth dimension or vice versa, both dimensions would detonate. It's kind of like putting antimatter and matter in the same location. It does not end well for anybody.
Okay.
Now, have there been different races and different galaxies at war with each other? Absolutely. As for the why, I mean, the who and the when, millennia. I mean, there have been eons of wars going on. This is why I tell people that just because they're off-worlders does not mean that they're anything more advanced, other than technologically speaking, and some of their spiritual abilities are more advanced. Right, but they still have the same pitfalls as most corporeals.
All right. Football Cat is asking, is the footage shown July 1969 really filmed on the moon? So in other words, did we land on the moon? Is the video real?
I cannot speak to the veracity of the video. I am not a video analyst. However, I can speak to the veracity of whether or not mankind landed on the moon. And the answer is definitively yes. I mean, I call it definitively. Somebody out there is likely going, well, can you prove it? That's a twisted conversation right there. But from everything I've seen, did mankind land on the moon, and are they still going back and forth to the moon? The answer is yes. The video footage, like I said, I've got no way of telling you.
Right. Okay. Greg wants to know, how do the Wara choose their clan leaders?
Mike is right. In other words, if I, as a young Wara, want to take over the clan, beat my superior into submission, I now run the clan. It can get, to say the least, a little brutal.
Now, for those of you who are wondering why Keith and I are snickering right now, is I told Keith right before the show, he's got this giant, it's almost like a giant beer stein for a coffee mug, and he always puts it on his table where his microphone is, so we hear this thud every time he does, and he just went to do it, and I was giving him the finger to and he started laughing. So that's kind of what we're going with. But for people who don't know what a Wara is, what is it?
Basically, it looks like a Sasquatch. Okay, the arms are a little longer, and it is more simian based than what the Sasquatch is. But they are a very aggressive and highly camouflaged race. They are undoubtedly, in my opinion, when people talk about an aggressive interaction with the Sasquatch, more often than not, they've run into a Wara.
Okay. Moving on here, because I know there's a few more. All right. Greco has a question. Have aliens ever weaponized a black hole?
In a manner of speaking, they've used it in combat tactics. They don't actually control the black hole, but they have forced their people and they have forced their opponents into it.
What would be the benefit?
Well, the opponent won't come out of it, at least not in one piece. Because that which goes into a black hole comes out the other side in its subquantum particles.
All right. Let's move on. Theodora. Love that name. Theodora. Just try that. It rolls off the tongue nicely. Theodora.
Yeah, it's got that neat little fan, that neat
it does.
Sound to it, like older sound to it.
Very much so. Theodora is asking, Keith, how can we kill these aliens if we need to?
Well, not with the idea that mankind uses. The weapons mankind has will kill people one-on-one. But mankind's got to get past this idea that if you're going to have a war, that you're going to play with it. Fortunately, none of the races are interested in taking out Earth.
Well, that's good. That's good. Bigfoot Rob is asking, could an alien deception be part of the end times?
Technically, considering he used the word could, technically yes. But understand, the end times comes in about 5 billion years. You know, at which point mankind probably isn't going to have a whole lot to worry about with it.
No, I think we'll be in different universes by then.
In pretty good batch.
We better be. We better be. I won't be around to see it, though. I wonder what incarnation I would be in at that point.
I don't know. There are so many possibilities.
It would have to be close to, like, my millionth incarnation. I wonder if there's, like, a big award. Like, when you get 1 million subscribers on YouTube, you get an award for your millionth subscriber. I wonder if you get that for your millionth reincarnation.
Technically, the answer is wisdom and knowledge.
I want an award. I'm human, after all.
Yes, but by then, what is classified as human is going to look more like paramecium.
True. All right. I got a question from Sovereign. Goes, I heard there is human body parts open air markets on Uranus. Is this true?
Well, considering there's human body parts available on Earth, yeah, wouldn't be a shock. I mean, body parts sold as medicinal property for medicinal properties has been in existence since before Earth was built.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that's a twisted concept, but you know, hey, you never know what the questions are going to look like when they come here.
This is very true. Rolo is asking, was Stanley Kubrick part of some secret high-up group? I mean, what's up with the ritual scene in Eyes Wide Shut? I don't know. Eyes Wide Shut really wasn't about aliens. We got to keep it on aliens for Keith. But well, Stanley Kubrick, though,
two major factors.
Let me rephrase this. Was Stanley Kubrick getting inside information, like with 2001 Space Odyssey, and there's claims that he helped fake the landings of the Apollo mission? Was he on the inside of what's going on?
Okay, well, now that I know who Stanley Kubrick was, we can give you part of the answer. Was he on the inside as to what was going on? Absolutely. Okay, and the reason I say that is because what the heck was the name of it? That ship in Space Odyssey, right, is a real ship, but it's one that humans will never get inside. That's a Korlock ship.
Okay. Darn selfish Korlocks.
Get inside it.
Why not?
Because the Korlock ship, literally, Korlocks are the amoebic-like entities. And they literally run their ship on biomagnetics. What they do is they drop all four and they literally ooze down the corridors and down the chambers in their ship to provide the electrical power. Humans can't do that. I mean, you can toss them into a blender and put them in, but,
True. Can always blend them up. Maybe, creates a nice soft saute or something like that. A yogurt, maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Greco is asking, is there such a thing as an astral assassin?
Absolutely, yes. Well, that was a short answer. The Untar are known to travel the astral plane in search of their prey, and drop in if they are actually asked to take somebody out. They will quite readily do it.
Very cool.
Astral assassins, even amongst humans, exist.
Okay. Stuart is asking, is the sun some sort of gateway?
Only in as much as it's got a gravity field to it. But it itself is not an open door.
All right.
I mean, it's great if you're aiming to get to the elemental plane of fire. From that standpoint, yeah, it'll work great. Unfortunately, it's not a good place for humans to go.
Nikki is asking, are the Laborians and Lyrans on their original planets, especially after the Orion Wars?
Not only. In other words, there are still some on their original planets. Well, that's not true. With the Lyrans, they are. With the Laborians, they are not. But that's only because the Laborians' original planet doesn't exist. It got decimated, and when we talk about decimated, we're talking about atomized.
All right. Let's check out another question here. Let's go to Eric with a K. We are Eric with a K's fourth favorite show in the world.
Nice.
We're number 4. Isn't that nice?
Well, thank you very much, Eric with a K.
Exactly. Is there a race of Bigfoot that are called the Xanu, Xanue, and what is happening to their planet?
I'm going to write that. See, my problem is a lot of the races I know by different names. But you said that was Xanee?
UE.
UE.
Yes.
That is probably, and I'll have to look into it, but that is probably a subrace. Okay, it's probably an offshoot of the Wara in all reality. The reason I say that is because what's happening on Bigfoot's planet, well, you guys already know. You live here.
Could be. All right, let's, as we got about 1 minute here, let's get to one more question. And Chuckles wants to know, have you been dining on any aliens lately? I just asked him.
Technically, I had pig for dinner tonight.
Okay. No grays?
No
mantid mustard? No gray poupon?
No. I don't like that stuff anyway.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, Keith, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. R Keith Andrews is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, where we talk about extraterrestrials, ET contact, alien abduction, and so much more. We'll continue with your questions on Twitter and on our chat rooms, so make sure you put them in capital letters, so that way it's easy for me to check them on out. R Keith Andrews, the ET Connection. We'll be back right after this. All right, there we go. We're clear. Hi, A. Bauman. Mr. F.U. Don't troll my chat room. Terrible times. Good to have you here. Yeah, we don't do the trolling thing here, man. We do not do the trolling thing whatsoever. If you want to join in, have a good time with the good crew that is around, we will more than allow it. And looking at a lot of your comments, you're just here to troll. So I'm going to give you a chance to either blend on in or say goodnight, because we don't allow it here, dude. We don't allow it. So that's about as much as I am going to pay attention to you until you decide. I don't care what your name is or what you put on there, but until you decide that you don't want to troll and you want to just hang out and have a good time and enjoy the woo, that's when we will get things going. Hi, gorgeous Jessica McCreary. What's happening? Terrible times. Nice to see you. Seeing if I missed anybody. A. Ron. Good to have you here, man. Thurston Howell III. Good to have you there. There's Eric with a K. We are his fourth favorite show, people. We're number 4. We're number 4. All right. Sherry Knight, looking lovely tonight. Carla Fuentes, welcome back. And we should make mention that, this show is brought to you by Mighty Moose Beard Oil. You can get winter blend. You can get regular. And soon, some other smell I haven't checked out. Some other smell I haven't checked out yet. So, real nice. That's what you do. You just poke it on in there. Throw a few drops in the old handy doodle there. Put the lid back. And then just rub it in and massage it in. That's it. That's all you got to do right there. MightyMooseBeard.com. Use promo code SOR 2019. And Gary the Dutchman is going to give you a killer deal on that stuff. Thank you, Steam Train Mark, for letting me know that we are alive tomorrow on Saturday, since you live in the future. If you don't have a beard, you can. I see you, Keith. You're on camera. Too. Keith was letting me know that he was back, forgetting that I could see him on his camera. Jeff Horn, welcome back. April, May, June. Happy belated birthday to you. So MightyMooseBeard.com. All prices are in Canadian dollars. Use promo code SOR 2019, and you're going to get a discount on that. Davey, how you doing, man? No, you're not going to get a shout-out. See, that's trolling, dude. That's trolling. Now I got to time you out because I told you we don't troll here. Okay, if you want to hang out, have a good time. Okay, but we're a little bit more mature than trolling, okay? So it's really up to you, and I don't have time for it. So we're just going to every time you ask something stupid, we're going to just ignore it, and we're going to just remove you from the chat. So you're out for about 280 more seconds. If you come back, great. Be normal. Be normal. I don't know if you're a 15-year-old kid who had a sniff of daddy's beer, or if you're just a virgin adult who has nothing better to do on a Friday night than troll a chat room. All right? Hi, Shiny Ray. How you doing? I did say hello. I typed it in. Now I'm giving this person crap here. So you really have a choice. You can play by my rules since it's my chat room, or you can go away. It's that simple. Or you can hang out and have some fun. My suggestion is you hang out and have some fun because there's some cool-ass people in here, and we got a cool-ass guest in R Keith Andrews, and I got a great beard. So there we go. Hi, gorgeous Marie. You're looking lovely tonight on your second cup of wine. Steve Stockton, good to see you. Jay Coop, welcome. Look, because the chat room is moving fast, there may be questions that I have forgot. Okay, so you may have to retype them. Gorgeous and talented Simply Coco is looking fantastic tonight. I even heard that she is wearing her princess crown for this one. Yes, princess crown. Crown, not crowd. So, there we go. Hold on, guys. We have hit the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate you taking the time. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with the ET Connection and R Keith Andrews here. Keith, I'm going to get you to move, just stay right where you are, move a little closer to your microphone if you don't mind. Just makes life a tad easier for me. Now, Keith, we're going to start off with some audience questions here once again because everybody's here to see you, not me, you. So Jay Coop is asking, can you ask Keith why none of these alien races have subjugated or destroyed the population of Earth?
Well, there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, the consortium, which is the governing body for 2,500 plus races, has actually dictated that Earth, like any other planet, is not to be subjugated. Humans are the caretakers of this planet, and therefore they are actually forbidden to do so. Okay, you couple that with the fact that there is so much information on a genetic level on this planet. It's kind of like the old Library of Alexandria from Earth's past. Okay, this information is invaluable to xenosocioeconomics, xenosocioeconomists, okay, amongst many other sciences. So the races are not permitted to do it, and there's all sorts of precautions in place to ensure that's enforced. But that would be the primary reason.
Okay. All right, let's move on here. Yola Tango is asking, what is the largest race of aliens you know of, Keith? Is there a planet out there filled with giant, fat, heavy aliens? That would be Earth. That would be Earth.
There are bigger ones. The Anunnaki were a giant race. There are ancient fossils of them on this planet that we've seen. Okay, the old Titans from Earth history were not human. They were not native to this planet. Okay, and of course, if you take a look at people like the Odaki, okay, if you ever watched the movie The Arrival, those octopodal beings, well, actually, they weren't octopodal, they were cephalopodal. In other words, 7 legs. Okay, they are an extremely large race compared to humans.
Greek.
I guess the biggest race, just trying to think here, the biggest race you're standing on, the biggest race that I'm aware of anyway, you're actually standing on. Well, that's not entirely true. But Earth itself is a member of another race. And I do mean the planet itself. And I put my glasses down and cannot find them. That's not surprising, in all fairness.
They're not in your hair?
No.
Okay. Greco is asking, are doppelgangers the work of alien clones?
No. They're the work of mother and father doppelganger. They're a race unto themselves.
Football Kid is asking, what is a black-eyed kid?
That is a child watcher. See, watchers, all they do is watch. But as we know with children, children don't always do what they're told, which is why you'll find black-eyed kids going into people's houses. They're not supposed to, and they keep being told not to. They just, like most children, don't necessarily listen. But they're totally harmless.
Why do people feel so scared and paranoid when they see them?
Well, because you've got a shadowy figure, and you take a look at the horror movies of today's world. You see a shadowy figure, and people jump out and scare you with it. Well, these guys are born naturally made of shadow. You know, and that which people do not understand, humans live by a simple philosophy. Fear that which you do not understand. That which you can, that which you fear, strive to control. That which you cannot control, strive to destroy. And that which you cannot destroy, fear.
Makes sense. All right. Millennium is asking, if the consortium watches over Earth and keeps all the alien species from getting out of line, will they set the record straight if a fake alien invasion event actually occurs? That's actually a good question.
It actually is. And here's the reality behind that. There has never been an alien invasion or plans for an alien invasion. So every one of the ones that people have come up with are fake. See, we covered this a while ago, Dave. I was talking to the military, to the heads of the military of the consortium, and they laid it out really simple. If they were going to invade Earth, because Earth is technologically advanced to the point of being annoying, they would simply hit from the other side of Mars, from outside the orbit of Mars. They would coat Earth in an EMP, in a subquantum EMP pulse that would not only destroy the electronics, but all of the existing components of the electronics. Then, from orbit, or from just the other side of the moon, they would knock the 3,500 plus satellites that are in orbit around Earth right now out of orbit and drop them on the planet. If they wanted the planet alive, then they would come down. If they wanted the people, they'd come down at that point and start collecting. You know, there has been no plans for an invasion. The closest thing that anybody had for an invasion was about 200 years ago when the Tekla caught wind of Earth itself. They made a beeline here, and the Srazazian cut them off because they were coming in to strip mine. Okay, the funny part about that point was when they got here, they found out that humans tasted nice, so they were going to take everything.
Let's move on. Dr. Marty is asking, is there intelligent life on the moons of Jupiter?
Some of them.
Sounds like they could use some freedom.
Well, it's a bit like Eo's got intelligent life on. I don't personally remember the names of all the moons, but there is sentient life on all of them. Now, the question of intelligence, that's a debatable point, but, you know. But is there sentient life on many of the moons? The answer is definitively yes. It just may not be in the form that humans are used to.
Theodora is asking, do reptilians wear clothing?
Some.
Otherwise, they're running around naked?
Some reptilians do.
Sovereign is asking, are some alien species responsible for these giant forest fires?
More importantly, some of the giant forest fires draw some off-world species. Like, you remember the clam bake we had here in 2003 in Kelowna?
Yeah.
We had a fire elemental here on site. But it wasn't the fire was not caused by him. He just came when the fire started. And you can bet, like I wasn't witness to any of the footage, but you can bet when the California fires hit a couple of years ago, you can bet there were a couple of fire elementals that showed up there.
Why burn the planet?
It's not a question of them burning. I keep asking the same thing. But it's not a question of them trying to burn the planet. It's a side effect of them walking.
So they're walking, and that's what's leading through the forest, and that's what's leading to a lot of these forest fires.
No. The forest fires get started, sad to say, a lightning strike can cause it, or some genius driving through dry pack and firing a cigarette butt out the window will cause the fire.
Right.
See, a fire elemental can't get here without a decent fire to start with.
Got you.
They use the fire as a portal to get here to take a look around.
Makes sense. Armando is asking, Grant Cameron says there are no evil aliens. What's your response?
Wrong. I know that's... yeah. Sorry, there are good and bad in every race. But there is no race that is 100% evil. Okay? Because you got to understand, evil means that it goes against the society. And when you take a look at the Daemons, for instance, they consider tearing somebody's limb off for insulting them. That's just normal etiquette. Humans will consider that a little extreme and potentially evil. Okay? Many reptilians will eat their dead as soon as they drop dead.
Well, that's nice.
Well,
I guess
again,
it's fresh meat.
well, it is. To them, the guy died, he no longer needs the body, so we may as well put it to use.
All right, Bigfoot Rob is asking, does the Galactic Federation influence the outcome of humankind?
No. Compensates for it, doesn't it? It doesn't guide it. Well, I shouldn't say it doesn't influence. Mankind, I think it was 1996, went to DEFCON 1 and lit up all the nuclear silos. And the consortium did step in and say, knock the nuclear silos out. Shut them all down. Which does inherently impact the way that human society evolves. But I think the question is, are they influencing governmental decisions or societal decisions? And not directly. Like, they do not have an interest in human politics. Not from a case of, come in and let's get into office and see what we can do to screw up the system.
Right. Okay. Moving on, A. Bauman wants to know, how do aliens go to the bathroom on their spaceships? Do they use the three seashells?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many variations on that question. I mean, realistically, it depends on the configuration of the particular alien that you're referring to. Yeah, I mean, you take a look at some of them. They literally expel their toxins into the air.
Okay.
I mean, we got to understand when you ask a question that generalized.
Well, either they do or they don't.
Try that again.
Either they do or they don't.
Well, pretty much. See, there's three types of outlet that you can look at. Number 1, number 2, and number 3.
What's number 3?
That's when you exude it through your skin and just carry on.
That's not cool.
Every note, yeah, that's gross, I know. But take a look at slugs on Earth. Look at the trail they leave behind.
Oh my goodness. All right, moving on. Sovereign wants to know, Keith, have you progressed in your research into the Skyfish rods? They're like the fluttering ones that people are catching on cameras. No?
Oh, okay. I'm actually in the middle of documenting them. Let's see if I've actually got them here. Before the show started, I was actually working on Volume 2. And I think I was working on that a little earlier. Well, the answer is yes. Right now, like, I've got a bunch of information I haven't translated yet. But he's talking about the Ezon. They kind of look like elongated orbs.
Gizon?
No, Ezon. Y-Z-O-N.
Okay. Cool.
And they're going to be included in Volume 2.
All right. April, May, June from Vancouver Island is asking, is there a planet called Tara? Your thoughts?
The best I can tell you is probably. Needless to say, I don't know all the planets. I mean, I have enough trouble remembering my own. But I can tell you, she may be dealing with the pronunciation of the word Terra, which refers to here.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We got a bunch more questions from our audience for R Keith Andrews, our guest tonight with the ET connection. Let's see here. I'm scrolling, Keith. Just
that's okay.
Bear with me.
I'm up because I'm getting close to when I come off shift, so if the phone rings, I've got to put you on hold for a minute.
Well, why'd you jinx it like that?
Oh.
Why'd you jinx it like that? All right. Here we go for the audience question for R. Keith Andrews. Rolo is asking, what's your take on hypnagogic hallucinations?
I think they're a lot of fun.
What is a hypnagogic hallucination?
Well, my suspicion is that he's referring to a scientific method that was developed to cause mass hallucinations. Okay, mankind's been playing around with that for years, as well as many supplements to help with it. Basically, it boils down to convincing a large mass of people that what they're seeing, either they're not seeing or they are, like trying to modify their perceptions.
Makes sense. All right. Maureen on Twitter is asking, do any of the alien races look or dance like Elvis?
Humans?
Outside of humans, man. Come on.
Just thought I'd ask.
Just woo it up for us. You can do it.
The closest that you'd look at there would be the Orions. And they don't look like Elvis. However, their moves can be very, very similar. Depending on the specific Orion. Because the Orions enjoy... The Orions and the Venusians both enjoy various types of acrobatic dance.
All right, let's move on here. Yola Tango is asking, are there any alien races that can convert other races into their own, similar to the way a vampire can infect someone and create more vampires?
Well, considering the vampires, what you call vampires, which are shadow walkers, do literally that, the answer would be yes. Because shadow walkers are what you call a vampire. Okay. So, yeah, I would have to say that would be a definitive. The other one would be, of course, the Korlock. Technically can, but, of course, in their case, they absorb the person completely and they become part of the Korlock.
April, May, June wants to know if teenage grays fly blue orbs.
Seldom. I mean, probably if they're invited, but they don't, of their own accord, they don't actually go out and get them. Because the blue orb ships come from another race.
Right. Okay. Greg is asking, are there powerful alien objects in our solar system, like Thor's hammer?
I've never heard of Mjolnir being anywhere on Earth. However, are there other certain artifacts that can be found? The answer is yes. Mind you, most people, when they find them, they take a look, and most of the scientists that find them look at them and go, well, this doesn't make any sense, so it can't be magic, it can't do anything, because they haven't figured out how to operate it.
Jenny,
but do artifacts,
okay, you have a but.
Yeah.
Okay. What's that but?
No, I said, do artifacts exist? Yes.
Very cool. Jenny is asking, have you ever heard of the Mintaka? If so, where or what happened to it?
I've heard the name before, but to be honest with you, I can't recall where. Mind you, if she wants to send me any information on what she knows, I may know it by another race. And I will quite happily give her an answer.
Armando is asking, what is the alien enforcement mechanism in regards to xenosociobiological regulations?
Oh, referring to a race trying to conquer a designated planet. Like, for instance, if a race were to go against the consortium and go, we're going to conquer Earth, regardless of what you said, the consortium's retaliatory method, they are immediately violently extricated from the consortium via destruction of the planet housing that race's primary, secondary, and tertiary governments. And it's not the government that's eradicated, it's the entire planet.
Okay. We've got just under 2 minutes here before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. Aaron is asking, does the Vatican have the Library of Alexandria books and scrolls?
Some of them. There were a lot that were destroyed during that fire. And a lot that were stolen after it. Mind you, to be honest with you, some of the missing books are in private collections.
Wonder what they're worth.
Dollar-wise, no clue. Knowledge-wise, a staggering amount.
Millennium is asking, the fake invasion, is the stories that humans with alien tech will act as aliens and attack in order to create a new world order. Do you believe that may happen?
Wouldn't be surprised if he used every other bizarre idea.
Would it work, though? Would it get through the aliens?
Would it get through the aliens?
Yeah. Would they allow it? The Galactic Federation, would they allow that?
Well, yeah, because, that is human evolution. The fact that humans are wise enough to use camouflage to get their job done is actually a mark in the right direction. It's kind of a check on the evolutionary scale.
All right. You know what? We're going to put a hold right there as we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Our good friend R Keith Andrews is here for the ET Connection. We're going to continue with audience questions. If you want to get one in, you got to join us in our chat room or on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio. Put your questions in capital letters so that way it's easier for me and my old faring eyes to read them. So R Keith will be back with your questions, and we're going to continue the ET talk because it's so much fun. When you can't have aliens, or when you can have aliens, it's always a good peek woo night. The ET Connection, R Keith Andrews, on Spaced Out Radio, right after this. All right, we're going to be right back here, guys. Keith just taking a quick break. I'll be right back here. I just got to run my dogs outside, so bear with me. Hey, Dirt Road, how you doing? Minus 36.
And as an added bonus,
Ooh-wee, that's
I'm
cold.
posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
Hey Space Travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month. And follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter.
All right, I'm back.
Stay in touch with
And there's a lot of them out there that are still here.
What's that, brother?
I said that makes 2 of us, and there's a lot of them out there that are still here too.
Right? We got about 2 minutes here. Hey, Prairie Fire. Good to see you.
Oh, by the way, Dave.
Yeah.
The reason I usually have a coffee over here, left hand still isn't working as well as I'd like, which makes it a little unstable sometimes.
Well, I get that, but then I hear the banging.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm doing my best to remember to leave it over there.
Good.
I understood the reason for it.
Yes. Minus 51 Celsius where Prairie Fire is in Saskatchewan.
Well, better her than us.
Holy cow, that is freezing. I've never been in that cold.
I've been in minus 40 plus wind chill here. We used to get minus 40 in Kelowna. Like, we'd run 3 weeks at minus 30 to minus 40 with 4 feet of snow.
Right.
Thankfully, that's no longer the case.
All right.
I think we've been sitting today, most of it's been above zero. I'm heartbroken. Yeah.
Well, we got like 18 hours straight of snow up here.
Well, that's why I live down here. I think we've had 2 days with a skiff on the ground.
Yeah, we're supposed to get another dump tonight. So, guess what I get to do tomorrow? I get to use my snowblower. Yay!
Is that old two-handled one?
Oh, no. I am going to fire up the engine and make some tracks. Here we go, Keith.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Second hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you have for us, Clam? Let's see here. Macrophobia. Macrophobia is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. R Keith Andrews is back for the ET Connection as we got him for another 90 minutes here. Keith, welcome back.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right.
And welcome back to everybody that's joined us since we departed.
Have you been following the Chris Bledsoe story?
No.
About his ETs? Okay, so that's one you're probably going to want to read up on.
See, I met Chris years ago. Like, I met Chris himself when I first came to my well, really, it was my second event that I met Chris at.
But you haven't stayed up to date on his story.
No, like I've mentioned to people, I do not research any of it. Yeah, I mean, virtually everything that I relay to people is what I've come across myself firsthand.
All right, let's move on. Rollo is asking, when I was 14, I had sleep paralysis and saw a hooded black figure approach my bed, accompanied with ringing in my ears. What was this?
Best get depending on the size of it, on how tall the thing was, you were likely dealing with a gray, because they use sonics on occasion to paralyze people. Okay, which is where that ringing in the ears can come from.
All right, let's move on. Sovereign is asking, since the fallen Nephilim have 6 digits on their hands and feet, is this the reason we're on the pagan, satanic, Gregorian calendar, 6 + 6 + 6 + 6 = 24 hours a day, and so on?
Only in a manner of speaking. It's more importantly the fact that they had a great deal of influence on base 12 of numerology and base 12 mathematics. See, humans only deal with base 10 because they ran out of fingers. The Nephilim had 6 digits. Okay, so their entire system of calculation was based in 12s. And it's a far more accurate system where it comes to numerological configurations.
All right, let's move on here. As Overbuilt has a question, what's the likelihood my Sasquatch can have a hybrid baby?
I have no idea. It's technically possible. They have a common ancestor. Okay, I mean, if I'm presuming he's referring to a Sasquatch mating with a human.
Yes.
And considering, and you and I can argue this point later, but considering they have a common ancestor, it would make sense that they'd be able to.
All right, let's move on here. Greco is asking, why does Earth or humans need aliens?
Oh, they don't. See, Earth does not require aliens. For that matter, Earth does not require humans. Earth itself will be quite fine without any of them. You know, that's just the reality of it. It's along the lines of humans need Earth. Earth doesn't need humans. Same as the aliens. The aliens are here because of the evolution of society on Earth. You know, it's an extremely exciting time.
Shiny Ray wants to know, what do aliens eat for dinner? Do they eat breakfast for dinner, by the way?
Well, if you take a look at the definition of breakfast, everybody eats breakfast for dinner. If the first meal is at 5 o'clock at night. I mean, it's titled, but breakfast literally means break fast. It's the first meal of the day.
That's why you eat breakfast foods for breakfast.
A breakfast food is only a breakfast food because certain people said that was a breakfast food.
We're going to agree to disagree on that.
Okay.
All right. Elliot is asking, you remember when we talked about the Nimitz incident with the Tic Tac?
Yes.
He is asking, what do you think was flying the gimbal UFO?
Let's see if I can find that. I have to call it the other one. I actually do have that. It's just I don't recall it off the top of my head. So let's just take a look, because I hope I referred to it that way when I was doing my research on it, when I was documenting it. So that might, okay, it ain't in book 2, so hopefully it was in book 1. And that's going to take me just half a minute.
All right.
But I will come back to that answer. Carry on, and we'll come back and drop that in as soon as I've got it.
A Bauman is asking, are the orbs like extra-dimensional fiber optics where they can spy on us?
Scrap the extra-dimensional part, but only sometimes. See, some orbs are a race, some orbs are a ship, and some orbs are a probe, as in a spy unit. So it's sort of a case of there's 3 possible answers to that question.
All right. Mr. Apnea is asking, do aliens use deodorant?
Some. Of course, do understand, when you take a look at the Muldocs, they consider stale blood being a great deodorant. Humans may find that a little bit appalling. You know, on the other hand, if you walk through a Venusian garden, there's something that'll just absolutely drive you nuts with because the aromas are something, and they make the best perfumes we've got on Earth look mild.
All right, let's move on. Dog Next Door is asking, can you request somebody to be abducted? I know someone I want abducted.
Well, Technically, the answer is yes, but I wouldn't hold my breath on it.
Kind of mean.
Well, nobody said humans were not mean, but...
True.
On the other hand, you got to give this guy credit, or girl. They didn't specify why they wanted them abducted. Maybe they want them to get a better look at the world. Or maybe they've been really nice and they just want them to be abducted to expand their horizons.
Speaking of abductions, Greco wants to know, what other animals get abducted?
Which ones don't would be a shorter list.
Which ones don't get abducted?
In all fairness, I personally cannot give you the names because the second the name comes up that they don't recognize, they'll abduct it to find out.
That makes sense. Football Cat is wondering, do off-worlders visit primitive cultures?
Absolutely. Why do you think they're here?
I'm going to change Rollo's question a little bit. How many times have you been abducted over the years?
I have no idea. I mean, I could give you a rough count at, well, there's 52 weeks in a year, right? So you're looking at 100. We're looking at well over 5,000.
$5,000 times.
Well, if you think about it, I'm usually gone once or twice a week. And there were periods where it was a lot more often than that. Okay. Well, I'm 57 now. So 50 at twice a week at 52 weeks of the year, you're looking at 100 times a year. Times 57 years, you're looking at 5,700 times. So, you know.
Moving on. Denbub wants to know, Keith, where does the bulk of your knowledge come from?
Personal experience. It literally is because of interacting with them. Some of my best friends are non-humans. You know, people talk about having friends in high places. I have friends in orbital places.
Okay, but you get a lot of people who question you. And believe it or not, I've been taking a lot of heat from people for saying, I'm not grilling you hard enough on these experiences. Even though I've asked you that question about, at least 80 times over the last 5 years.
To be frank, the first hypnotherapist I went to years ago, and that's going to raise all kinds of questions right there, was actually the first guy that opened the door and told me about it at all to bring it into conscious memory. Okay, I mean, I knew I was always afraid of being outside on my own. I was always looking over my shoulder and above me because I always felt like I was being watched. But it wasn't until my early 20s when a professional psychiatrist and hypnotherapist come to me. He was doing a little bit of work with me. And he brought me out of the session. He looks at me and goes, we have a major problem. Because my first positive memory on this planet, on Earth, of this lifetime, was watching the Earth rise from the far side of the moon. Right? And in the background, there were a whole pile of shorter people. I presume most of them were probably kids. But, I mean, all I knew was they were all about my height. Right, but they were playing what amounted to a game of zero-G wall ball. So, I mean, I've had enough witnesses to the events that I talk about. And no, I'm not about to give anybody names or indications of anybody I've dealt with. But I've had enough people that have corroborated what has happened, unrequested by me, that I just gave up worrying about it. And bearing in mind that I grew up in a small military town, a small town military base where a lot of this took place, good luck getting that information. But if people can get corroboration for me out of the military, hey, drop it in my lap. I'd love it.
A. Bauman is asking, Does Oronite have any effect on extraterrestrials?
How hard are you hitting them with it? I mean, as an emanation, on the whole, no. Of course, you take any rock and hit somebody with it, it's going to have an effect.
But most aliens, though, aren't they quite fragile? I know there's ones that aren't, reptilians or mantid beings, but for the most part, the Greys or they're pretty...
The Greys are a very fragile race. There are many races that are very fragile. Okay, there's a lot of them that are, but I would be really hard-pressed to say most. Okay. I mean, every race it has its own weaknesses.
True. Very true. Eric with a K, remember, we're his fourth favorite show.
Yeah, we got to do something about that.
Yeah. He is asking, has any Bigfoot race ever had their own planet?
The Wara come from their own planet.
But there was rumor that, I think we talked about a long time ago, if I recall, that Muldock or someplace like that before it
Muldocks aren't Bigfoot.
No? Oh, okay.
No. But yes, the Muldachian race is another race. And they also have their own planet, have come from their own planet.
Theodora is asking, cattle mutilations and aliens, why?
The number of answers for that is phenomenal, but it basically boils down to research. And one of the biggest issues is the amount of cattle that humans go through across the world, except for in one very small section, has their attention to find out what it is that cattle have, why it is that that particular food is of so much import, and why the organ that they take is because that's where it's, when you start looking at the subquantum matrix, that's where you'll find the information. It's just human technology has not evolved far enough to do it.
All right, moving on. Jay Coop is asking, Keith, can you explain what you know about the Galactic Federation and its structure and powers?
That's a long one, but the answer is yes. Ultimately, they are run by a council of 12. There is no race has more than one member on the council at a time. And the reason for that is to ensure that no race has dominant control over the council or dominant influence over the council. The individuals are chosen by people nominating them as having zero racial prejudice or prejudice of any form. And they have to have a direct focus on what is better for the consortium on the whole, irregardless of their own personal interests, personal connections, desires, or the evolution of any given race. Okay, out of that, they pick the council. And yes, they do have a secondary council in place, so if one of the council members dies, they bring up the next electee.
Tristan is asking, Keith, what is your intuitive sense on the ETs you're connected to, and could they be manipulating you? In other words, can you decipher between positive and ulterior motives?
Technically, considering the question was, could they? The answer is technically yes. And do I usually understand the ulterior motives? Many people have called me paranoid because of it. Okay, because from my standpoint, with anybody I'm dealing with, I look at the ulterior motive, myself included. There are always individual things that drive individuals. Doesn't matter what race they come from. Okay, to the best of my knowledge, am I being controlled by anybody? No, it's been tried. It doesn't usually work well.
Rolo is asking, Keith, have you astrally projected anywhere?
Absolutely. Can I prove it? I technically put you in touch with somebody that's seen it done. But am I going to drop anybody's name out there to prove it? No.
Denbub is asking, Dave, do you drive a Snowcat to work? No, I drive a 4x4. It's easier.
It's easier.
Just easier. It is lifted. Greco is asking, how does Bigfoot survive in minus 55 temperatures?
Good fur. Good fur and a nice metabolism and a good thick layer of fat.
Just like Dave. Just like Dave.
Yeah.
Eric with a K is asking, Keith, do you have any ET implants?
Not that I'm aware of.
How do you get away scot-free with those?
Because every time somebody puts something electronic in my system, my body shuts it down. Biomagnetic feedback that I generate plays havoc on electronics.
I can see that. Would you ever do a live regression session with us?
That is possible, but in all fairness, I don't know.
Be kind of cool. Rolo is asking. Sorry, that was a repeat. Greg is asking, who is the largest higher entity? Do they physically fight?
The largest, higher entity?
Yes.
You'd call him God. And there is no point in him fighting. Are there ones bigger than him? The answer is also yes.
All right.
But again, when you get to that power level, there's no point to a fight because the whole trick with learning to fight is one purpose. You learn to fight so you never have to fight.
Unless it's in hockey.
The higher spiritual
then you want to fight.
Pardon?
Unless it's in hockey.
I never understood the purpose of fighting in hockey, but,
Fun.
And if it's mutually agreed upon, hey, have had her.
Exactly. Yeah. The Michael Leger is asking, how do you call aliens if you wanted to make contact?
From my standpoint, I think about it. Because the people, the off-worlders that are monitoring the planet, most of them are either telepathic or they're using subquantum scanners that pick up the brainwaves. From modern day society, it would be kind of like Cerebro on the X-Men.
All right. We have 1.5 minutes here before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour, Keith. And Millennium is asking, Keith, what do you think about, and you and I talked about this before the show, about my possible abduction event that knocked me out for a couple of days, kept my body sore.
Well, aside from the fact that you felt sore for it, I think it was great. But I'm suspecting you're wondering what I think as to what caused it.
Could be.
I don't know. That's up to you, Dave, whether or not I say anything on that note.
You could say whatever you want in 40 seconds.
Okay. The off-worlders are looking for people like Dave to find out what the people in the loop that are out of control lines are actually putting together regarding the off-worlders. This is why they're starting to collect certain peoples. Which, yes, does mean Dave is not a controlled entity.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. Keith, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Yes, this show is flying on by. R Keith Andrews is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. The ET Connection continues with all of your questions when we come back on the mighty SOR. Stay tuned. Super Keith. Super Keith.
Well, today's going very well.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion.
Chat room's going nuts tonight.
Yeah, I've been watching. I have no idea how the heck you track it.
Oh, it's hard.
It's,
I have missed so many questions because the chat room's just moving too fast. So I scroll right up to the top.
Yeah.
As far as YouTube will allow me, and then I restart. So that time I got about a third of the way down.
Yeah.
I might skip the news tonight. You want to continue right to midnight?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
If the questions keep coming, we'll keep it.
Yeah, this is why I tell people, if you've got a question, we have had a couple of people drop a line in here.
One quick second. Sovereign, I'm deleted that question because we don't do pedo stuff in our chat room. All right? I apologize, but anything to do with that sickening stuff, we do not deal with it on this show. So I had to erase that one, dude. I apologize, but I got to stick to the rules. My rules. All right. Denbub is giving me the angry eyes right now. Angry eyes. We've got a few minutes here yet, Keith.
Yeah. No, this is why, I've had some people that have contacted me directly to ask a little more involved questions. And like I've told people, you drop me a line, I may not get back to it right away, but I will get back to it and answer as best I can.
Thank you, Greg Moyes, for the super chat. Really do appreciate that. Thank you. It's very kind of you. Glad we're helping you start your weekend off on the right note. With some woo.
Oh, I love that one. From Polar Eclipse. Did you catch that comment?
Let me see here. Oh, hey, Dave and everyone. I rescued a flying squirrel tonight from a cat, held the little guy in my hands, and let him go up a pine tree. Awesome.
Yeah, that kind of thing always makes me smile.
Fabster, thank you so much for the super chat, buddy. You take way too good a care of me, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, I would love some Taco Bell right now. I would love some Taco Bell. Or Taco Time. Keith has a Taco Time right by his house.
Well, down the road.
Close enough.
I haven't been to Taco Time in probably a decade myself.
Oh, I took you there before we dropped you off.
Well, I told you my memory is not a good one.
Crazy.
But that said, that would have been the last time I went.
Taco Time would be a larger version of Taco Bell, and it's really good. They got the best hot sauce, homemade hot sauce ever. Hey, Chris Mo, how you doing, man? All right, Keith, 1 minute.
Yep.
This break seems to be taking forever.
This one does. You know, I'm looking at some of these comments that are going through your chat room there, and I have no idea.
Right.
You know, how you manage. I just read through them, and I'm going okay, why would you ask that? But,
All right. Marty is asking how far apart are Keith and I. We're about 4 hours drive. And A. Bauman, what's the hottest hot sauce you've ever eaten? 1.5 million Scoville units. And that would be Aubrey D's Scorpion Death Sauce. It's hot. Real hot. Yola Tango, thank you so much for that amazing super chat. Really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Here we go, everyone. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. I'm the guy behind the microphone. Fantastic hair, great beard, and mustache combination. Want to remind you that if you want to check out our free archives, you go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter @SpacedOutRadio and on Instagram @SpacedOutRadioShow. We continue on with your questions for R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. Keith, welcome back.
Thank you very much for having me, and welcome back to everybody that's still with us and the new joiners.
A. Bauman is asking, Keith, have you had any MyLab experiences?
Way more than what I care to count. We'll start with the easy part. I watched 197 of my friends get murdered in front of my eyes when I was a kid.
Alien friends. Let's clarify.
No, we'll do the human when it comes to MyLab.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's not very nice.
Killing alien friends isn't nice either, but, you know.
You okay?
Yeah. There is a reason I don't go into what goes on in my labs.
Yeah. We'll move on. Tristan is asking, Keith, why do you think these beings are so interested in you since childhood?
As near as I can understand it, because the day I was born, I bailed from my body. I left my body when I was born and ran into the council on the astral plane, and promptly got told I wasn't allowed to leave. And from there on, like, I do not see a difference between any individual, regardless of race, color, social standing, finance. I see all people the same way, which isn't necessarily a good thing. But I just do not take into consideration what somebody's station in life is, or what race they are. I treat them all the same.
All right, let's move on. We got a ton more questions here from our audience. Bomber is asking, Keith, will you tell us about the first time you had an alien encounter that you remember? Was this before or after the therapist told you it was happening? And if after, what made you see a therapist?
Oh, what made me see the therapist was easy. My short-term memory collapsed to the point that I literally would forget things. My parents actually sent me to the therapist to start with because I had no short-term memory longer than about 3 minutes. Right. Mom and Dad would literally have to repeat whatever they wanted me to hear, according to them, at least twice the same sentence in order to get me to respond. When they did the EEG on me before I saw the therapist, the average person has what they call a busy signal in their brain, where every neuron in the brain fires at the same time, about once every 3 seconds. That busy signal usually falls on an inconsequential word like the or of, or in a space between words. In my case, at the time, I was getting a minimum of 3 busy signals a second. So they diagnosed me mentally retarded. Net result, I didn't agree with them. I graduated on the honor roll. But that's what sent me to the therapist in the first place.
Yeah.
I was having other little issues that were completely confusing my parents.
Rolo is asking if you know about the lady. Now, the lady is somebody who has come to Chris Bledsoe, has come to other experiencers, very, very few, but there have been some, and she is allegedly a very religious icon. Some believe that the translation would equal out to the Virgin Mary.
Well, having run into the Virgin Mary yourself, the answer to your question, have I run into anybody calling themselves the lady? Personally, no. Not that I recall. The only reference I've heard to that is the old lady of the lake from Ivanhoe.
All right, let's move on here. Corrins is asking, is there a race of smart-ass alien robots called Tweaky that are short and go around saying beep, 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 beep. Thank you, Corrins. Thank you. All right, Gorgeous Larry, because for some reason he likes it when we call him Gorgeous Larry. Do these alien males... Yeah, I'm not asking that. I'm just going to edit that one. I read these cold, and sometimes when I get halfway through a sentence, I choose not to finish it off. Jen A. is asking, were Bigfoots always here, or did they have a place in the stars?
Well, that depends on who you talk to. In my opinion, they evolved here. Okay, they're placed in there is a race that did evolve in the stars. That would be the Wara, which look very similar, but are a whole lot more aggressive. As for always being here, well, like I said, they evolved, so technically not always, but...
All right, let's move on. Brian is asking, Keith, what kind of spacesuit do you use with the aliens when they take you during your endeavors, and what kind of gases do these aliens breathe?
Well, fortunately, they take me to play. Whenever they take me to places where they actually have the proper mix of oxygen. However, I found out a long time ago, quite by accident, that I personally can breathe low-grade levels of propane and low-grade hydrochloric gas. We found that out the hard way, quite by accident, but like I said, fortunately, they usually take me to places where they either provide an oxygen rebreather suit so that I don't have to worry about it, or they take me to a place where I actually don't have to worry about it anyway.
All right, let's move on. Do aliens breathe oxygen?
Some. Actually, quite a major group of them do.
A. Bauman is asking, have you ever seen any famous people on your space excursions?
Probably, but the problem is I wouldn't recognize a famous person down here. Yeah, well, I shouldn't say that. I did meet Travis Walton. Now, intriguingly enough, I met him a long time before I physically met him here. But on the whole, I have no doubt I've run into famous people. I just frankly...
You never saw Elton John or David Bowie or any other movie stars or music stars that claim to have aliens?
No.
Theodora is asking, do the aliens die when they grow old, or is it just done another way?
No, they die in as many varied ways as people do. And yeah, they do die. You know, there are some races you don't want to be there when the person dies. Many of the reptilians, when the elders die, if they die of natural causes, as in they die of old age or they die of severe injury, They just become part of the dinner plate. It's like, well, terrible that Uncle Bob there keeled over, but, give me his leg.
All right. Rollo is asking, what do you think of Stephen Greer's CE5 protocol?
We're going to have to ask for an update. What is Stephen Greer's CE5 protocol?
I have no idea because I refuse to pay for it and do not encourage people to do it. Because any type of CE5, basically it's like Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. Okay.
Oh, that's when you ask for them to come and abduct you.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody that is trying to tell you there's a specific protocol that you can follow to get a specific type of off-worlder to come and abduct you, I'd question the rationality behind it. Okay, and I certainly wouldn't be personally footing the bill to get it done. Of course, in my case, I've got a reason not to. But to the best of my knowledge, there is no universal, do this and you'll get an alien to come and collect you. And if you're paying for it, you might want to take a look at your shopping habits.
Can do. How would you then, and I'll take this one a step further, how would you subscribe to people making contact? What would be your advice?
First and foremost, if you're trying to make contact, be very careful on what you're asking for. And be very specific on what you're aiming at. Because there are races out there you do not desire to be abducted by. Okay, because it will become a one-way trip. First rule of thumb, if you've got any prejudice towards humans to start with, pushing to get abducted by an off-worlder is just a bad idea to start with. Because if you think you've got problems being with some of the different colors of people, I don't care how strong somebody says they are or how open-minded they are. There's a very big difference between going, oh, I can take anything in stride, and going, I won't have a problem with it, and then looking up at an 8-foot reptile packing a mace the size of a medicine ball. Intimidation, size will intimidate most humans.
All right, let's move on here. Mere Person is asking, which aliens pretend to be human?
None. There are many that look and can blend in. Mobians, you'd never tell the difference. Nordics, most people ignore. Okay. When you're taking a look at some of the members of Radio Command, they can pass without a problem. Okay. If you take a look at, Orions, unfortunately, are a little too green to pass. Maldakians, if you get the right Maldakian and they use, if you will, the right lighting, then they can probably pass most of the time, as long as you don't pay attention to their legs. But there isn't a one that, the Untar, if they're of that mind, the Untar and the doppelgangers will absolutely pretend to be human. Of course, that has something to do with their hunters.
All right, let's move on here. Rollo is asking, are we Nordic aliens crossed with Bigfoot from Mars? I would say no. What do you think, Keith?
Try that again.
Are we Nordic aliens crossbreeded with Bigfoots from Mars?
Definitively, no. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, we aren't descended from the human race is not descended from the Nordics. And number two, Bigfoot didn't come from Mars, and neither did the Wara.
Tristan is asking, what important info have you got from your contact with other beings?
Well, I've learned, I have become very adept at taking a look at every individual the same way, based on their behavior, on their speech patterns, on their actions, not on their appearance or their pocketbook. You know, some of the most brilliant and open-minded people that I've run into, well, it's kind of funny when you realize that some of the plants that I know are actually more intelligent than many of the humans I've run into. And yeah, I know that sounds absolutely bizarre.
Chris Mo is asking, Keith, what do you think about this government threat narrative that is going on around UFOs?
About the UFOs being a threat? It's absolute hogwash. I think that's the polite way to put that.
Oh, you got him fired up, Chris. Go on, Keith.
Well, the thing is, if the off-worlders were interested in, and I covered this earlier this show, but take a look at the consortium's flagship. Their main gun. If you take the Titanic, you know, that neat little ship that went down in 1912, you turn that thing broadside, you can shove it down the barrel of the consortium's main gun and still have room to maneuver. That weapon is a planet buster. There is no way Earth is going to compete with that kind of firepower at all. And trying to upload a virus onto off-world computers is like trying to use an abacus to hook up to an IBM. Okay, there's just going to be an incompatibility problem. So the off-worlder threat is absolute hogwash designed for one reason, in my opinion. You keep people afraid of people, and they're easier to control.
All right, let's move on here. Rolo is asking, do you believe in karma? Is this relevant to aliens?
Absolutely. Karma and dharma both are relevant to humans and aliens, because that's a universal constant. It has to do with karmic law number 3, energy out, energy in. Whatever you do, whatever you put your effort into, that's the ripple effect you're sending out. If it's a good thing you're doing, they call it dharma, and it'll come back to help. If it's a bad thing you're doing, as in treating people as you do not personally desire to be treated, it'll come back to you in a negative fashion.
All right, Steve has a question, a concerning question, saying, Keith, I find it weird that you can talk on live radio but not give names. Surely you would not be able to talk about it on live radio if this was a concern. I don't understand.
Oh, and that's understandable. The point being, if people want to come out and reveal their own interaction, that's great. I am not going to put them into the spotlight for anybody. It's a personal call on my part. It's got nothing to do with what the off-worlders have said. It has to do with the fact, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. The fact I've chosen to come out and go, this is what I've gone through, that's my choice. But that is the backbone of the reason for it.
Theodora wants to know when disclosure is happening.
About 50 years ago. You know, if you're asking when is the government going to come out and admit it, well, they're already starting. But, I mean, it depends on what you call disclosure. From my understanding, and Dave, you'd have the percentages better than I would, but my understanding is that just over 60% of the population now believes that off-worlders are here.
UFOs exist. I believe it's 40% or 38% that believe that aliens have visited here.
Okay. Yeah, I don't follow the percentage thing, but in my opinion, you don't have to wait for a government to come out and say they're real. You know, it's kind of like you don't need somebody to come out and say gravity works to realize that it works.
Very true. Yola Tango is asking, Do any alien races shoot their dead into space? If I searched long enough, would my spaceship bump into an alien coffin? That's an original question, by the way.
That is. I like that one personally. And the answer to the question is yes. There are races that will actually fire their dead into space. They do have a ceremony. They'll pop them into what they consider a disposable coffin. But as far as running into one, the odds are extremely limited because they fire them directly at a star or at a black hole, depending on what's available.
All right, let's move on. Rollo is asking, Keith, why do you think you were chosen?
Personally, I've questioned that one a long time. But I think it had more to do with the fact that I chose not to be here on the day I was born and got intercepted. So it's a debate whether I was chosen or whether they just decided he's pushy enough, let's see what he does with it. I mean, quite frankly, without getting graphic, people that claim that birth is a wonderful experience don't remember theirs. I wasn't happy when I got here.
I can understand that. I can totally understand that. Denali is asking, have you ever met Jesus, and did he tell you a different story than what is written?
The answer to that is an unequivocal yes. But that is something, if you really want the answer to that one, I'm going to ask you to contact me directly, because this show would get really sidetracked into a heck of a mess.
I appreciate that concern. All right, and let's get to the Michael Leger. How long have the Greys been here?
Rough gauge, about 2 billion years.
That's long enough. We got about 2 minutes here before we have to go to break. Thanks, Corrins, for this one. Is there an alien race of great white sharks with legs and arms? If so, please send them to Dave's house.
Nice. Well, at least
that's my booking guy right there. It's my booking guy.
You just never know.
Apparently he's a friend, too, eh? Apparently he's a friend.
Hey, look at the bright side. With friends like that, you don't need enemies.
Very true. Very true. Greg is asking, are dwarves still around, or did they leave this planet? We've got 1 minute.
No, they're definitively still around. They're in the inner, in what people call inner Earth or the Hollow Earth, or there's a number of things it's called. But they are very definitively still here. And periodically, you'll see one on Earth, like you'll see one out and about.
Very true. Is Earth an alien experiment? Are different human races different alien hybrid species? You got 1 minute.
Technically, the answer is yes. There are different human races that have been hybridized for different species. Yes. Okay, but that's because of the fact that it depends on what they're looking for.
2 quick questions before we wrap up this hour. Fast Hemi, does anyone else in Keith's family have alien encounters?
Remember that thing about I wasn't going to reveal names?
There you go. All right. Second one, A. Bauman. Do aliens have souls?
Absolutely, yes. And the follow-up question to that is yes. Aliens, humans, plants, animals, they all go to the same place when they pass.
Yeah, good old aliens. You get to choose which breed you want to be when you reincarnate. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Keith, I'm going to get you to hold on. We're going to skip the news tonight. We're going to go with R Keith all night long here on the show because it is so entertaining. We've got peak woo as we speak, and there's no kind of woo than the drug of peak woo. It'll keep you high and mighty all night long right here on Spaced Out Radio. Keith, I'm just going to run my dogs out. I'll be right back, okay?
Absolutely.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines Report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have...
All right, Keith, I'm back.
Me too.
Me too. I just want to quickly say that I apologize if I've missed some questions. I'm trying not to. I am going through the chat room as quickly as I can, but YouTube only allows me to see so many of the questions or the comments before it resets. So if I miss them, it's not on purpose. And I could tell you that we're way behind. So to give you an example of this, the questions that I just read of Keith's, or to Keith, was literally right when we were talking about, what was it? We're about 45 minutes behind on the questions, is what I'm trying to say. So bear with me, and we'll keep going here. Excuse me. Dolly, thank you so much for the super chat. Very kind of you. Much love to you and your support of SOR. We got about 45 seconds left. Thank you, Fapster, Yola Tango, Greg, Cat Chaser, Greco, and Big Dog for the super chats tonight. It really helps out what we do here. Really do appreciate it. Thank you to everybody for the thumbs up. Remember, you can get your SOR swag by going to facebook.com/the SOR Vault. We'll get that cleaned up for you on our website pretty quick here, and we'll keep things going. Keith, we're going to get going here in about 10 seconds.
Absolutely.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. If you want to check out our archives, we have them free for you. They're always free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us tonight, Clam? What do you got? What do you got? Macrophobia. Macrophobia is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection tonight. Keith comes in near the beginning of each month to talk about aliens and everything to do with them. Keith, welcome back. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us.
Well, thank you very much for having me back.
Let's continue with the audience questions. You're going to be with us. We're going to skip the news tonight. Go straight with R Keith here because the demand is there for your questions. The Michael Leger is asking, why do most alien abductions start when we were 5 or 6 years old?
Because they have discovered that humans, up until they're about 5, are very open-minded, meaning they've got access to the higher senses. They're easier to communicate with. Okay, as humans get past that age 5, that's when they are taught that things like imaginary friends and the higher senses aren't real, which makes it harder for the off-worlders to actually communicate with them. It boils down to, if a person is told often enough they're stupid, they will end up becoming stupid. They'll believe it. This is why most adults have trouble with the concepts of higher senses, and the kids don't even think about it.
All right, let's move on. Bigfoot Rob is asking, does George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars, have a seat on the Galactic Federation?
No. And the reason I say that is because no human has a seat on the Federation Council. And the reason for that is because Earth itself does not have a unified race. And every member of the Council comes from a race that their entire race is unified. This doesn't mean they all get along, but they at least all have one generalized outlook.
A. Bauman is asking, Keith, have you ever seen Carl up close and personal?
Well, I heard him up close and personal. Have I sat down with him personally? No.
Where do you think he is right now?
He went back home a while back. He was reprimanded for that little stunt.
He got his spaceship taken away.
Essentially, yes. Or the other term is he got grounded.
All right. Chris Mo is asking, how widespread in the galaxy is slavery among aliens?
Pretty much if there's sentient life, there's slavery. It has been that way since time immemorial.
All right, Denbub is asking, is there a mask mandate? That's why I was snickering. Is there a mask mandate for aliens visiting us right now?
Well, they recommend, true Pleiadians have an absolute mask mandate. Wear a mask or die. Of course, that has more to do with the fact they'll die because of the atmosphere than because of some disease. But no.
Bomber,
no.
Bomber says you didn't really answer her question, and she's giving you a fist shaking for that. All right. Will you tell us about the first time you had an alien encounter that you remember?
Oh, yeah. That one I can actually tell you. Number one, it happened at the tail end of my MyLab run. Okay, I was literally being terminated. And yes, that sounded as bad as what it was, but I was strapped to a table, and the humans injected me with something. I have no idea what it was, but I know it burnt like an absolute monkey. There's another word for that. But once they injected me, there was if you looked over my shoulder, above me at the head of the bed, a cabinet burst open. Basically, it looked like a storage unit because the storage stuff all came out of it going every which way. A female Strazazian come out of that cabinet, crossed the room in 2, maybe 3 steps, and grabbed hold of the first tech that she came to and tore his breastplate off, which probably wouldn't have been quite so bad if he'd have been wearing armor. But she closed her hand around his sternum and removed the whole thing. Then she grabbed with her at the same time. She slit the straps that I was held down with her other hand. Grabbed me, scooped me up in one arm. Of course, at the time I was only 5 years old. Right, so scooping me up wasn't that hard. She grabbed the guy, the second tech she got a hold of, she yanked on his arm so hard it came off. Right. She carried me out down the hallway, and it was amongst other Strazazians and humans like. Now, the Strazazians simply stepped back out of the way. In one case, I remember one human behind a Strazazian that stepped backwards. He shouldn't have been there. He didn't live. But the woman that grabbed hold of me picked up one human tech and fired him up against a concrete wall so hard that she split the concrete. Which, guess what happened to the body?
Fell apart.
Pretty much. It was a paint job.
All right, let's move on. Straight out of Marysville is asking, is it true or are some draconian shapeshifters? If so, how would we know?
Draconians aren't technically shapeshifters. They do have holographic imagers. Okay, and the answer is yes. And how you would know is you watch for the variation in the light around their body, because it does have an electromagnetic field, or more to the point, a photoelectric field. Now, whether or not you can see the photoelectric field is another question altogether. But before we go down that obvious rabbit hole, obvious to me anyway, No, none of them are trying to get into government and take over governmental positions. That's absolutely forbidden. And as we said, breaking that particular law is a good way to get yourself terminated.
Moving on, R Keith Andrews is our guest tonight. Theodora is asking, who is the strongest out of all the aliens out there?
You'd call him God. Or Allah, or any number of other names. Yeah, I don't know of a better way to put that one.
Chris Jarvis is asking, are all alien races on the same technological level, or is there varying levels?
Extreme variation. I mean, there are some aliens that are actually traveling with the consortium that have no space travel, but they have the right spiritual alignment or the right interest, if you will, to be beneficial in all parts.
Okay.
But no, they don't have things that are as primitive, for instance, as cavemen. You know, if they're limited technologically, they may end up with added rides, if you will.
Joe. All right, sorry. Go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, technology levels vary extremely.
All right. Joe is asking, Keith, have you ever been through a Stargate? If so, what's it like?
Been through a Stargate and a wormhole, and they are a rush. The picture, if you will, going through a, I think, Space Mountain in Disneyland, is a good example. You ride one of those two, one of that in the dark, and it looks very similar to it, but you have to have a high magnetic field to get the real vibratory feel of it. But they're an absolute rush to go through them.
Okay. Off-World Adam is asking, is there 13 colonies of man in the universe?
Well, there are 13. Well, the answer would be yes. I think what he's referring to is, are they scattered throughout the universe? I can tell you my understanding of the whole situation is the missing 13th tribe is on Mobius. About 40,000 years ago, they left Earth.
Just said, had enough. We see what the future of man is. Don't want to be here?
In a manner of speaking. At that point, they had the technological capacity to depart. And when doing so, because as we said earlier, the off-worlders have been here for a very long time. Okay, way before the current rendition of man. So, of course, what are now called the Mobians are actually human. But my understanding is they are the missing 13th tribe.
All right, let's move on here. Denali Princess is, what is your email address so us fans can reach you?
Yeah, I typed that in earlier, but it's innervoiceenterprises@yahoo.ca. You know, if you look up R Keith Andrews on YouTube, you'll also find a whole list of ways of getting in touch with me.
All right, moving on. Let's go to, where are we here? Are kangaroos interdimensional, or are they being portaled around the world by aliens? Kangaroos.
Well, we can go with the first answer of no. They are third dimensional. And could some of them be being portaled? Undoubtedly, kind of like some fish are picked up and moved. But is there some sort of ongoing, let's relocate these to everywhere else on the planet? No. Because kangaroos have a very definitive diet and a very definitive way of life. Trying to transplant them into the Arctic is just a bad idea. not to mention cruel.
Right. Okay, let's move on here. In regards to meat eating, we've had a couple of questions about meat eating. Is it morally correct from Rollo? And number 2 is from Sovereign. Since Keith ate pig for dinner, aren't pigs a hybrid of wild boar and human? Does that make bacon eaters cannibals?
Well, we'll start with the first part. Is eating meat morally reprehensible? Not at all.
Good answer.
If you are killing, the whole trick with that is, are you killing it for food? Or are you killing it for food or self-defense? If you're just killing it and leaving it, that's reprehensible. But killing it for food, absolutely not. As far as pigs being some sort of a mutated hybrid, pigs are, they are a naturally evolved race. Do they have a similar skin structure to humans? Certainly. But then the dolphin has a similar eye to humans. No, correction, not the dolphin, the squid. But that does not mean they're human, that they are hybrid anything. But the fact that it's a similar skin type is why they're used.
All right, let's move on here as we continue on with R Keith Andrews here. Sovereign is asking, I heard that the Dracos enjoy making humans suffer. Is this true?
That who enjoy making? Well,
the Dracos.
No. The Dracos are, quite frankly, too aloof to bother making humans suffer. Quite literally, the Dracos themselves simply want to control everything. But they don't want to fight for it. They just figure everybody should bow down to them because they are them. But they've got no interest in demeaning themselves by trying to make a human suffer. I mean, humans are inferior to start with. They're already suffering.
All right, continuing on here. Tristan is asking, what do you feel your role or your mission is regarding your contact with aliens?
I've argued that point for a long time, but what I've been trying to do is help people understand that treating everybody, regardless of whether they're alien or human, you treat people the way you desire to be treated. You follow 3 karmic laws. If you follow those are the things that I'm doing my best to let people understand. Am I perfect at it? Absolutely not. Okay, but the 3 laws, the only 3 I teach in my own house, are be true to yourself, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you, and energy out, energy in. And if you look at any of the religious teachings, take a look at the commandments or the guidelines on any of them, and you'll find they will all fit in those 3, at least from the best of my experience.
Tristan follows up, do you have any important messages for humanity?
Yeah, quite seriously, be nice to each other. Celebrate the similarities, don't degrade the differences. Because every being, everything that is alive, and for that matter, everything, is equally important.
All right, moving on. Follow-up from Tristan again. What is your most beautiful experience you've had with ET Contact?
Well, I think saving my life was probably one of the best. But I've had a lot of really fun ones, not the least of which was some of the conversations I've had. But I think the most beautiful from human standpoint would have been literally watching the construction of Earth. I mean, that was something to behold. You know, the way it was put together is something that, quite frankly, defies linguistics. Although that's part of what I'm trying to convey in the Elderbalkian Chronicles. But I think that would probably, debatably, that would be one of the most exciting, or one of the most beautiful. The only one that might rank higher than that was watching the universe start to evolve from the other side, from this side of a black hole. Or this side, depends on how you understand black holes, but black holes go someplace.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. We're going to continue on here, so we got about 3.5 minutes before we got to go to break. At the bottom of the hour, R Keith Andrews is our guest. Stephen is asking, has any alien species given you any tips for a prolonged, healthy life?
You know, the best I can tell you there is I don't rightly know. It may be because, frankly, I've got memories that date back from before many of the current races actually evolved. Okay, the one thing that has been confirmed is that every cell in the human body has a perfect blueprint for a perfectly healthy body. And once you realize that, okay, you can actually start to accelerate your own healing. And that can be transferred to other people. Like that knowledge can be, I mean.
Okay. Let's continue on here. Rich Hilke is asking, how long can the Greys live to be?
Roughly, in Terran years, roughly 300. You know, you get some that live a little longer. Some can live as much as 4. And I've heard of a couple of cases where they managed to live in excess of a half millennium. But on the whole, you're looking at about a 300 Terran year lifespan. But I must thank whoever that was. I must thank them because that's a piece of information that I neglected to put in the first volume. That I will go back and add, and will make certain it gets into the second volume regarding lifespans of these different races.
All right. Michael Leger is asking, Keith, do you have an ET girlfriend?
I think my Terran girlfriend would complain a lot about that, so no.
Good thinking. Rollo is asking, Keith, can you predict the future?
I predict probabilities. But I've been a professional psychic for 40, well, professional since 1986, as in generating an income. But what I do is look at probabilities. The future itself, frankly, is subject to personal choices. Like, I cannot tell people they will do this tomorrow. Heck, I can't tell my own kid he will do this right now. As evidenced by the fact that I have trouble getting him to go to bed. You know?
Oh, I hear you there. As a father, I hear you there. Let's sneak in one more. Do you remote view then?
Yes, I do remote view. And astral travel.
What do you like better?
Depends on my mood, really. Astral travel, I spent my formative years on the astral plane.
Well,
basically, I didn't want to be here, so I didn't stay here.
That works. You don't have to. Keith, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break at the bottom of the hour here. We have R Keith Andrews for another 30 minutes as we're going to go to the distance with him tonight. And why not? We like it when Keith is here. It's always a lot of fun when you can take the Woo train to Peak Woosville. It's the way we like to roll around here. R Keith Andrews, the ET Connection, continues on Spaced Out Radio right after this. All right, we're clear.
Outside.
Hi, Irish Lincoln. How are you? Jesse B., would you probe me with your beard? It's gray, and we're all searching for grays. Wow. Kind of hard because it's not that long yet.
Love you, Dana. Boy, he couldn't have timed that any better, could he?
What's that?
Oh, Munchkin had a question for him. Just wanted to make sure I woke him up at 8.
Oh, cool. How's he doing?
He's doing not bad. He's, we're finally getting things turned around.
Good. Hi, Jeremy Womack. Welcome to the show. Corrins wants to know if you are the $6 million man, been taken apart and re-put together by aliens.
Well, funny you should ask that. $6 million? No. I've got very little in the way of technology put into me. But I do have it on, and I had a witness that actually saw the results of it. I had a really badly damaged arm disconnected and reattached. It had been broken years earlier by another race. And it was funny the way it came about. Because essentially, they removed it. It felt like I had been removed and reattached. I made this comment to my girlfriend at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the second night it happened, now prior to that, I could not touch my right shoulder with my right hand. It was not physically possible because the elbow was so badly offset that it would miss it by a good 6 inches. But this one day, 2 days in a row, I woke up with it feeling like it had been torn off, cut off and reattached. And then my girlfriend at the time turned around and says, I had an argument with them and told them flat out they were going to keep taking you. The least they could do is repair your arm. And next thing, and then I'm like, all of a sudden it dawned on us that I could actually reach my shoulder, which may not seem like much to most people. But I do know that they rebuilt my temperature gauge, my body thermostat. They didn't know what they were working with, so my body thermostat is just completely screwy. But the value of it, don't know.
Okay, we've got 2 minutes, buddy. 2 minutes. I'm going to burn through a couple of these questions while we're waiting here, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm getting behind again. Yola Tango is asking, what kind of alien hybrid would you like to meet that you haven't yet?
I have no idea. And I know that sounds completely bizarre. I mean, there's a couple of races. I'm not so much interested in the hybrids as I am in the specific races themselves.
Right. Next question, Fast Hemi. Are there other universes that aliens come from? We got just over a minute.
Absolutely, yes. The Milky Way is only one small part of reality. And there are places on the far side of wormholes that are vastly different from what humans see. Now, of course, unfortunately, I'm not an astronomer, so I don't have the information as to what the different names of those would be.
Right. Okay, buddy, I'll leave it right there as we only got about 40 seconds. Thank you to everyone who has amazingly donated to the Super Chat tonight. Really do appreciate that fantastic support. Always blows my mind. Thank you so much for your love of SOR. I really do appreciate it. Also, we need 2 more likes, people. 2 more likes. Give us a thumbs up so we can hit 100 for tonight. I'd appreciate that. 2 more. Just 2. That's it. 2. All right. I'll be right back. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate it. I want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection continues tonight on the Mighty SOR. So we're going the distance with Keith, taking audience questions all night long about the peak woo that we call ET Contact. Keith, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Yola Tango, we'll start off with that question. Knowing that there are both canine and feline alien races, do they get along or do they hate each other like here on Earth?
That depends on the individual. Inherently, they are not at war with each other. So no, they do not fight like cats and dogs on Earth. They use weapons.
I would think that the dogs are a little bit more violent.
No, they're just a little bit rougher around the edges.
All right. Nick is asking, do any of these aliens work with the elfin race here, or do they leave them alone?
Oh, they definitely. Some of them definitely work with the elfin race. And and in all fairness, I do know of a few cases where members of the elfin race have been abducted, which is usually a really bad idea because it doesn't go over well. Unlike humans, the elfin race has a way of dealing with being abducted when they don't want to be.
Okay. Let's move on to A. Bauman's question. Have you ever had run-ins or dealings with the Anunnaki?
Yes. Not run-ins, but dealings with. The difference being run-ins usually, in my opinion, refers to some sort of adversarial problem. I've dealt with them. On the whole, they're decent people. A little on the tall side, but,
Chris is asking, did aliens create Stonehenge?
No. But Stonehenge was created for them. Stonehenge, on top of everything else, quite frankly, is a landing pad. See, there's a neat little thing that people don't realize about Stonehenge. Because of the way the energy in it works, it's used as a refueling center for some of the ships. They don't use it much right now because it's got way too much publicity. But centuries back, nobody paid much attention to it.
Corrins is asking, Keith, what's your base body temperature right now? He's curious because you mentioned your thermostat was all screwed up.
Yeah, I can burst into an absolute hot sweat at 20 below. Right. I mean, basically, as long as I'm not hanging on to metal, I don't register heat the way that most people do. And my temperature can fluctuate really badly and then drop right back to normal.
Theodora is asking, which actors, actresses, or famous people are actually hidden alien shapeshifters?
Yeah, like I would tell anybody that. I remember that thing about not revealing certain people's names?
Come on, give us one.
How about no?
How about two then?
How about no?
Okay, three.
Okay, we'll agree to no.
All right, damn you. Moving on, Abe Bauman. When it rains frogs and fish, is that alien seeding the planet? You can't make this stuff up, Keith. You just can't make this stuff up.
Yeah, no. Quite frankly, when it rains frogs and fish, you're dealing with a problem with the meteorological modifications that take place due to the natural cycle of weather. Understanding that you have some droplets do carry the eggs up with them from a microscopic level, and because they're going up in a water base, they end up evolving while they're up there.
Keith decided that he was going to use his desk for a drum there for a second. But that's okay. We're going to continue on. We're going to continue on here on Spaced Out Radio with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. Let's see here. Moving on. Susan is asking, Keith, do young aliens get learner's permits to learn how to fly their ships?
Learner's permits? No, but they do get trained.
They don't have to put an N or an L on the back of their vehicle?
No.
Okay.
Because usually if they screw up, they toast the vehicle and they're dead.
True. Andrew in the United Kingdom is asking, is there a cafe at the edge of the universe?
And the answer, I believe, is 41. There are a number of cafes at the edge of the universe. But I know the one he's referring to. And specifically, not that I'm aware of, not by that specific name, but there are a number of them out there.
Princess Denali is asking, Keith, do you believe we are in a holographic world like Elon Musk believes?
No. Not even remotely. Well, I guess using the term remotely could indicate that, yeah, remotely, but no. I mean, that's one of those things where I usually ask, did the guy want a shovel or a backhoe?
I'll take a backhoe right now because I got a lot of snow to move.
Yeah.
Chris is asking, Keith, how many races of aliens are you up to now?
I think when I was going through, and I think I'm over 100 at this point that I've actually documented. Because I got 59 in the first book, and I think I'm sitting at 40 or 45 now in the second volume. Oh, I'll have it out by the end of the year. That's what the target is, anyway.
Excellent. Greco is asking, what does humanity need to do in order to become equals among the prominent alien races?
Number one, start treating each other like equals. Get away from this idea. You've got to eliminate the concept of first, second, and third world countries on your own planet. Everybody is a first world country because this is the first world that the humans are on. Once people start treating each other in that fashion and start realizing that the size of the pocketbook or the name they use to call something God doesn't matter, they're all dealing with things the same way. That's what they need to get straightened around in their own head.
All right. Rollo is asking, does everyone have a role to play in this life, or are some of us just non-player characters? I actually love that question.
I love, and especially the way it's worded. That's coming from a gamer.
Totally.
The answer is everybody has a role to play because even non-player characters have a role in their own world. Everybody comes here to gain a certain amount of wisdom in a certain field, but it's their actions and their interactions that dictate how that wisdom is brought about. You know, the most obvious example is the people dealing with cancer. You come in to learn about cancer, and your actions and exposures and what have you will determine whether you develop cancer or whether you work with people dealing with it. And so the idea is anything predestined? No.
All right, let's move on here. Andrew is asking, Keith, how do you know that you are not a clone of yourself and the real one of you is not on Earth?
Well, that's actually easy. It was actually gifted to me by another very learned individual. When I was first starting to look into that side of things, I asked literally, how do you know if you're losing your mind? Every single person from every race I asked said the same thing. If you're asking, are you losing your mind? The answer is no, because if you were, you wouldn't be asking. So from that standpoint, I question that sort of thing all the time. Not the least of which is how the heck did I get stuck on this backwoods mud ball, but, you know, that's a long, drawn-out story.
Human Carl is asking, Keith, have you visited other versions of Earth in other dimensions? Is there another you, and have you met you?
First of all, in other dimensions, no. I actually am not. Nobody can get to another dimension until they complete their journey on this one. Okay, that's the first part. But are there other multiverses that I've been to? The answer is yes. And have I run into them? The answer is also yes. And does that make me sound like a complete basket case? Probably.
Yeah.
I'll
give you that one. I'll give you that one. You know, on a polite level. On a totally polite level. All right, let's move on here. Theodora wants to know what aliens like to do on their spare time for fun.
What do which like to do?
Aliens. What do they like to do for fun when they're not working?
Well, it depends on the alien. I know some that like pulling other people apart. They find it an absolute joy to gut people and just watch them squirm. But, you know, and of course, like I said, my first positive experience was actually up watching a group of them play what amounted to zero-G wall ball. But we can get into some of the more, shall we say, quiet moves, such as, you know, different versions of chess, that sort of thing. There's even live action versions of chess that can be played.
That would actually be cool. Be standing around for a while.
Not usually. Because if pawn wants to take pawn has to kill pawn first.
It'd be fun.
It can be an absolute battlefield, but, you know.
All right, let's move on here. So we continue with audience questions here. And let's see here. Dave's beard has become the go-to role model for my beard. It needs some Mighty Moose. It calls for it. Yes, it does, Den Bub. That was for me, by the way.
Yeah, I gathered that.
And Sovereign, how are the certain people receiving black eyes from aliens?
You know, I'm going to go out on a limb here and go, they probably got punched. You know. I'm not quite certain how I'm supposed to how to look at that question. I know if you take a dwarf off, you're likely to end up with a black eye, but technically they're not alien.
All right. Corrins is asking, what do the different alien races do to their leaders who cheat to win?
Oh, depending on the race, termination is a common problem. It's not a problem for the race, but it's certainly a problem for the so-called leader that cheated to get there. You know, in many cultures, if you get into office and you're not doing a good job, anybody can ask you to step down, right? And if you step down, they don't take it as an insult or as a black mark to be promoted into one position and get demoted back to the position you were in before, right? Because some people are just not geared to handle a higher position. That came out well, didn't it?
I'm okay with it. All right, let's move on here. Sovereign is asking, did the agreements made by the previous U.S. presidents made with the aliens end in 2020?
Many of the so-called contracts that were made by previous U.S. presidents were fabricated contracts that were never made to start with. So I have no doubt that some contracts probably came to a close. But was there some categorical 2020 everything gets shut down? No. Not to the best of my knowledge.
Denbub is asking, are we a galactic seed bank for seeding other worlds?
No. The only thing that Earth happens to have humans, which are a fabulously versatile genetic for making hybrids. They're very, very resilient from that standpoint, and because they reproduce so fast, they're a great source. But are they a seed bank? No. And by the way, they're also not an experiment.
Sovereign is asking, which alien races vanish our keys and other items?
More often than not, it's not the alien races. That's an ancient race. The sprites are real good at it. Your sprites, your leprechauns, your brownies. These are normal. And then, of course, you've got some ghosts that'll do it just on principle. And I know of a few people that are corporeal and simply know how to do that from an astral state.
Okay. Follow-up from Sovereign. Is the consortium, the Great White Brotherhood, and the Galactic Federation all the same?
As far as I understand about the so-called Great White Brotherhood, I'd be inclined to say they're probably all names for the same thing. Of course, I question the issue. I'm not personally familiar with the Great White Brotherhood itself. The term the Galactic Federation and the Galactic Consortium, yeah, from everything I understand of both of them, it's the same group of people, just different name. And a lot of the races I've run into, I've learned different names for.
Stephen is asking, how many of the alien species were bipedal or stood erect?
I could not begin to give you an answer to that. Bipedal is actually, in all fairness, a very unstable form. But there are a staggering number of them, and that is one of the reasons why they target here. Because humans are so resilient and they reproduce so fast, it's always nice to take a look and see how they're adjusting. But the reality is it's an extremely unstable stable form. I mean, let's face it, the Udina has 7 feet.
John is asking, are there any alien bases in Antarctica?
To the best of my knowledge, no, but there is an old civilization that's buried there. Like, Antarctica was not always under ice and snow. It wouldn't be an entire shock from my end. But can I confirm it one way or the other? No, but I can tell you that is one of the easiest ways to get into the inner Earth, assuming you don't freeze to death while you're looking for the access point.
No, very so. Very so. Denbub is asking, do you believe that all of our species are on every planet?
No, absolutely not. There would not be enough square footage on Earth, for example, to get a member of every species available on Earth. Even if you only have one of every species available. There's just not enough square footage to do it.
All right. Well, let's get to a couple more here as time is winding down with you, Keith. Jen A. is asking, do aliens value life like we do?
Actually, they hold it much more, in most cases, they hold it in much higher regard than humans.
How come?
That was not for subtle.
They just do. Okay. And yeah. Greco is asking... Oh, I can't say that one. Hold on. Sorry. And I think that's it, man. I think we're pretty wrapped up here. Keith, tell everybody where they can find your books and get a hold of you and find more information.
Easiest way to find me is on YouTube. If you look up R Keith Andrews, you'll track me down there, or Inner Voice Enterprises. And at the bottom of every one of my videos, you'll find a whole list of contact points. But my direct email address is innervoiceenterprises@yahoo.ca.
Well, that works for us, man. That works for us. Another stellar show by you, R. Keith Andrews, here on the ET Connection on Spaced Out Radio. Always thank you for your time, my brother.
Well, thank you so much, Dave, for having me, and thanks so much for the great questions, guys and girls.
All right, R. Keith Andrews, everyone, going the distance tonight. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone listening in our chat rooms tonight on YouTube, LGAB, Spreaker, Revolution Radio, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and the beautiful Snark going on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.